I'm a rising, oh, there we go. I'm a Rising Star intern with Iowa State Extension Outreach, and I'm studying graphic design. And my first experience with local food this summer was going to the Hampton Farmers Market. And I'll pass it to Belinda.
Hello, my name is Belinda. I am also a Rising Star intern with Iowa State Extension and Outreach. Yeah, I study global resource systems and dietetics, and my first local food experience this summer was probably the smoothie bike with you, Marie. Oh, yes, and I will pass it to Sarah.
So you've already met my two guests that came, and they are actually interning for Franklin, Cerro Gordo, and Worth, straight up the interstate. And they are actually remote working, so this worked out really awesome for them to come. And they are basing all their project on local food, so I thought they had to come to one of these meetings. And it looks like they don't get to meet as many people as I would have liked, but like you said, it is the growing season. And I am Cerro Gordo County Director. Yep, 1 minute, honey. And I'm with my kids in my house because we have insects later at the Central Gardens. If you're bored, hi, this is Scarlett. So, anyways, and my first local food thing would probably be we had some rhubarb crisp. Yep, 1 minute. Okay, I'm passing it to Shalene.
Thank you. Hi. How are you? Are you helping mommy? Yes. I am Shelly Codner. I am the Iowa Waste Exchange Coordinator for the program statewide, and I'm also serve as the Area Resource Specialist for the I-35 corridor, which includes all of your Rising Star counties. And I have from the Minnesota border down to the Missouri border, one county on each side of I-35. I've had multiple local food experiences. The first, of course, was the struggle of getting my garden in. Now it's the struggle of keeping it alive. And then, of course, we froze rhubarb early on in the season. Sue. I'll pass it to Sue.
Yeah,
sorry.
Got it. Thanks, Shelly. Yeah, Sue Marshall with Net Zero, and I'm a food upcycler. We'll be chatting about that today. And my first experience this year was a Scandia Farmers Market, Scandia, Minnesota, and they were hosting upcycled foods. So I was filling a like trailer full of all kinds of upcycled food products. So I'm on the back end of that. It wasn't as fun as being, out there selling and talking about it, but that was my first experience this year.
Love it.
Yeah, Marie, you're left. Go.
It's just me. Okay. Yes, and I apologize for being muted before, but I'm glad that the blender bike got brought up as your first experience, Belinda. That was definitely fun. I'll pop on really quick. Another one. So, hi, I'm Marie. I am the executive director of Healthy Harvest of North Iowa. And let me see. My first local food experience was probably the gathering actually this year. We do the event at the North Iowa Event Center in Mason City, which was kind of like our first big party, which is hosting an event on May 1st was slightly terrifying this year, but it worked out wonderfully. And as far as having all the vendors and samples and kids activities and presentations and all the things. So it was a big one to jump off, but definitely it was exciting to be able to have that. So that was good. And yeah, lots more to come. That's for sure. It feels like a while ago now. So that's good. And I know we just had a phone number jump on. So I'm not sure who that is, but if you're comfortable, do you want to introduce yourself, your name, your organization, and what your first local food experience is of 2021?
Hey, Marie, is that my phone you're talking about? This is Jan.
That would be you, yeah, Jan.
Hi there. Sorry to be a little late. Now, can you repeat the question?
Sure, yes. So your name, the hat you're wearing, and then your first local food of experience of 2021.
Oh, of 2021. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Dan Libby, the hat I'm wearing is One Step at a Time Gardens, and the first local food experience of 2021 was probably some meeting related to planning for the 2021 season for North Iowa Fresh. So it's probably some marketing strategy with Andrea or something along those lines.
Yes, I'd have to imagine that was probably the case. That is totally true. Sorry, my mute button wasn't wanting to, or unmute. Yes, definitely lots of planning meetings. Nobody wants to talk about the meetings though. That's not the fun stuff. Well, except for this one. But yes, awesome. Well, I will keep an eye out for if anyone else jumps on. Let me know. But now we will turn it over to Mallory and Sue and the food waste team to do a presentation about what updates we got.
All right, I'm going to share my screen here. And then Sue, we're gonna start off with you. I know you can't be on the whole time. So I think Sue is first, and then Shelly, and then Sarah, I think is the order I got on here. I think like a year and a half into this. I have it down, but I don't. Okay. You see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
perfect. Yep. Full screen. Yep.
Okay, so I think pretty much everyone on here is probably pretty well versed in food waste. But I want to do just a really quick why are we doing what we're doing, and then who's doing what. So why do we have a food waste team in North Iowa? So the EPA estimates 218.9 pounds of food waste per person is sent for disposal each year to our landfills. The USDA estimates food loss and waste at the retail and consumer level is 31% of the entire food supply, equaling 133 billion pounds and almost $162 billion per year. If you have never seen the food recovery hierarchy, this is also from the USDA. Probably all are like, yeah, I see this all the time, but I hadn't seen this and I thought it was pretty cool. So this is what the USDA prefers, first to reduce how much we're making and to feed hungry people. So it's kind of an order of priority of what to do with all this food waste. And our team here in the North Iowa Coalition has people kind of working through all of these, which, are all just great things to do and reduce food waste. So we're disposing wholesome food that could help feed families. And I know there's a lot of people in here that are working on gleaning and things like that. So a lot of land, water, labor, energy, and other inputs are used to produce and process, transport, prepare, store, and dispose of all this food. So this is kind of why we do what we do in a really brief nutshell there. So I'm going to kick it over to Sue. You don't have to read this word by word, and if anyone wants this this presentation afterwards, I can certainly link you to it. But Sue, go ahead and tell us where you're at, what area you service, and your mission, and what you're working on.
Great, good, thanks. Thanks for letting me have a few minutes to talk about food upcycling. So when you saw that hierarchy, where I am, there's reducing, which is on the hierarchy. There's recovering, right, and really diverting it. And then there is reharvest. I actually think of it as reharvest. Upcycling is technically the term, but really it's about powering Earth's food forward for human consumption. Also pet, but at the end of the day, we want to get that food back to human consumption when we can. So that's what I do as a company, and what my team is missioned to do is to unlock the power of that food. When we're talking about food waste in general, we've all heard the numbers, 45 billion pounds a year in this country, give or take. Out of that, about 6 to 8 billion is where I play, and Net Zero plays in reharvesting or upcycling. That's industrial food waste, and so that comes from food and beverage manufacturing. So that's specifically where we go. However, we are involved in community engagement. So you'll often see us involved in all kinds of activities along that hierarchy, because at the end of the day, it takes a village to deal with 45, give or take, billion pounds a year to have this done properly. So that's our mission. We're a social benefit corporation, which means that's we play in those sectors to help collaborate. You can think of it as a bridge. You've got food manufacturers or beverage manufacturers that have these byproducts. That could be brewing, distilling, it could be any kind of fruit juice. It could be breaking plants in Iowa, which is a project that we're working on with Bryce Davis out of Eagle Grove, and Daybreak and those folks around there. And then we process that with SLS hard equipment, proprietary processing equipment, and then we sell those ingredients to other food manufacturers and developing new products that have those ingredients. So in a nutshell, that is what it is. I'm wearing this t-shirt today, Too Good to Waste. Okay, this is that Too Good to Waste podcast.com for those of you can't see. Too Good to Waste podcast.com. There's lots of upcyclers that are interviewed on the podcast. And so you can learn about it. You can learn about the trade association, which is called the Upcycled Food Association. And that was created in 2019, right before COVID. There were 8 of us that started it. We now have 178 members. We kind of think COVID had a little bit to do with that. I think as we all probably have experienced, people are asking more about food, where food comes from, and particularly what's wasted. And this has been super exciting for all of us at Net Zero and throughout the industry, as people are starting to say, wait a minute, are folks doing the right thing with the waste? And what is the right thing? And what kind of technologies are available to make sure that as much value as possible is gotten from our foods? So as an example, a really cool project I'm doing currently is with Kernza. So we've had some education around Kernza. You guys probably have heard it's a perennial crop. Some people are starting to grow it. And then what I've done is I've been able to take the spent kernza from the distilleries, as distilleries are starting to use it, and breweries too. And then I've been able to upcycle that as a pilot project, and then we're pushing that forward into flour. And so we have a couple field days in July where they're actually doing a Kernza kind of tour around the state of Minnesota, and we'll be talking about Kernza, and then we will have a chef and a baker. We're working with the spent Kernza from Net Zero. And letting people see what it's like to power those grains forward, even on a brand new perennial grain like Kernza. I should say brand new, it's been around for a while now, but people are starting to get interested in it. So that's where we like to play, is taking a look at what byproducts have value, like intuitively, like why eggshells? Eggshells, we were familiar with that. People use it as a soil amendment. Collagen is the membrane that is on, that shell. So clearly we know calcium is important, we know collagen is important. So Net Zero tends to look at those byproducts out of the gate first to say, hey, is there nutrients that are being lost in the process that we can move forward? And then if we think that's the case, can we actually process it financially, viable, and make sure that at the end of the day, it's doing something economically good as well? Because we are a for-profit company, but again, with the social benefit side attached. So I was lucky enough to have a good conversation with Shelley, being that she's involved in the waste side of the state of Iowa. That tends to be where I go to, is trying to figure out, are there byproducts that are being put in landfills or inappropriately land applied today? And if they are, how can we be a solution in that chain? So at this point, you guys go ahead and ask questions if you're curious about. We're coming up with as of actually today, publicly Upcycled Food Association certification. And what that means, on back of pack next to organic and fair trade, you'll start seeing a little symbol that says upcycled foods. And that's just saying that we've went through a process to make sure that these products have the right upcycled ingredients in them. And it's a certification process like you would go through organic. So you'll start seeing that hopefully this next year on shelf on the back of packs, and like Kroger. Some of you might have saw in the news, Net Zero got picked by Kroger as one of 10 companies to focus on for the next 6 months in the upcycling industry. So you'll hopefully start to see more things on the shelf that are include upcycled ingredients. It would be fantastic. It's a way, the way we look at it, it's a way that all of us can actually participate in reducing food waste by actually buying products that have these upcycled ingredients in them. So any questions? Anything you want to know about the certification, Iowa and upcycling?
Who did you say that certification is? Who's in charge of the certification process?
Great question. It is the same organization where food comes from that does the organic certification. There is a beta process. There's 12 companies that just went through beta with them. And I can tell you personally, it's really, really hard. And it's expensive, you know, like the organic side, same thing. And we did that on purpose. I'm a founder and a board member of UFA. And when we decided to do a certification process, we did not want it to be easy. We want it to be, you know, traceable. We want it to be, we don't want to just have people put it on pack for marketing. That isn't what the idea is. It's really to take a look at, are we making a difference? If Net Zero comes out and decides to process, you know, Kernza, for example, is that really going to make a difference if I take a look in capturing all the spent Kernza? And then if it is going to make a difference, how much of a difference? So literally there is a minimum amount. It's 10 tons a year. If you can't process 10 tons a year of that byproduct, you know, it's just not making enough difference. So very good question, but that makes it a challenging enough goal rather than just saying, hey, cool, this is cool marketing. So we're really, you know, trying to capture and maintain that credibility on it.
Cool.
Sue, do you have, oh, go ahead.
As you continue to grow and expand and are reaching larger audiences and with Kroger and things like that, are you still trying to keep like spent grains from a brewery? Are you trying to keep those grains in that area, or will it just kind of all, you know, that name recognition type of thing? Yeah. I guess is kind of cool.
Yes, that local model, Mallory, and that's really important to Net Zero. And that, I really think that's why Kroger chose Net Zero, because believe it or not, company like Kroger, you would think doesn't care about local, but I'm actually finding that not to be the case. They're really starting to look at, okay, food's grown local, food waste is local, and so how can we keep it local? So our model at Net Zero is actually a licensing model. So the technology itself, Net Zero is not going to have like all these independent processing facilities all over that are run by us. What we do is license the technology so others can do it. So for example, if we decided Eagle Grove, we're going to do some eggshell processing, can we actually include technology to do the breweries in the area and do other types of juicing pulp? So at the end of the day, if it's food waste and the byproducts are generated there, we should keep it local first. Now, obviously eggshells, like Daybreak alone has 20 some tons a day of eggshells. Eagle Grove's not going to use all of those eggshells. So at some point it does then have to be distributed regionally. But it should always start local. Those jobs are great jobs and they should be done local. So that's why we did the licensing model rather than try to control it all ourselves.
Cool, thank you.
I think Marie had a question.
I did. I was wondering, Sue, if you have any idea of the number of companies, say in Iowa, that might be looking at such a certification. Do you have any handle on that, or is it kind of like putting it out there and hoping that people respond? Like, what does that look like?
A little bit of both, right? But I will tell you that when I started the company in 2015, obviously I'm in Minneapolis and I graduated and had my first round of funding through St. Thomas, which was great. But the idea of food from beverage and food manufacturing, my first year of study was in Iowa. So mostly Cedar Rapids, because that whole, you know, manufacturing food, they're all there on C Street, right, in Cedar Rapids. So that's why I got connected to Iowa, because I looked at the map and said, who has the most food production in that kind of scale volumes? And Shelley's shaking her head because she runs into that every day. I mean, we have it in Minnesota too, so it's not saying we don't, but really Iowa, if you look at especially in the region, has a lot of food manufacturing. And I looked at that as like gold, right? Like, oh my God, I can go there and I can, reharvest all of these vegetables that aren't put into soup from Heinz or whatever. And that's where I got interested. This is real. There's a lot of food out there, 6 billion pounds a year coming out of plants like that. So Iowa is definitely one of our key areas. And that's why we continue to work in Iowa. Yeah.
Super exciting to hear. It's true. We have a lot of food production in different types of food, right? Lots of opportunity.
Yes, lots of opportunity. It's very exciting times.
If there are no more questions for Sue, we'll move on. Sue, how can we get a hold of you with more questions?
Yes, my email is sue@netzro.us. sue@netzro.us.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, next up is Shelley. Go ahead, Shelley.
So, as I mentioned, I'm the Iowa Waste Exchange representative for the I-35 corridor. And our primary goal is to reduce all types of waste. But food waste is a targeted waste stream of ours, primarily because the waste characterization study that the DNR did in 2011 showed that food waste was a high percentage of our waste stream in 2011. And although there have been a lot of initiatives and programs launched since then to combat that, they did a 2017 waste characterization study, and food waste was up 50% from 2011. So it's a very important area to us. It is it's a targeted area, like I said, for the DNR. And since we essentially work for the DNR per contract, it's a targeted area of ours as well. Not only that, but there's so much value in food waste. There's so many inputs that go into it, just from the production of it to the harvesting of it to the logistics, that holistically combating that is also a way that we can indirectly combat climate change and global warming as well, from some of those outputs with logistics and transportation. So at any given time, I have multiple food projects going on, or assisting companies, schools, government organizations, really anybody that calls, even residents that are wanting to compost at home, and providing them information on how to do it. Right now, for example, I'm working with the Botanical Gardens in Des Moines to maybe offer green events at their venue when they do weddings and other special events that they coordinate there. I will also be doing this summer some vermicomposting, worm presentations at Central Gardens in Clear Lake. I'm also doing a big one at the fair in the Hy-Vee Fun Forest. And then there's and also at the Botanical Gardens at their summer children's camp. So in addition to working on the big industrial type things, I'm privileged to get to do these other fun educational type applications, which is primarily where I started from with recycling, as an education coordinator for the county in which I live, and then later as the director. So on-site food diversion is very important to us. We've worked with schools. One of the things that we do periodically, not so much throughout 2020, was assist in providing waste audits with the assistance of staff members. Of course, our protocols changed a little bit during the pandemic, but we have resumed that again. I just did a big one at a huge C-store chain in Iowa, which is what I met Sue about, because there's so much coffee grounds that are going into the waste stream. So food rescue and the Good Samaritan Act has been something that we've been trying to educate folks on. The EPA hierarchy that Mallory showed is our guiding principle, with reduction first. The only time that we run into a hiccup with that is as one of the agricultural hubs of the nation. We cannot, by Iowa code, feed food to swine in any capacity. We can feed it to cattle if it's heated to specifications. But Minnesota has been able to circumvent that and work with, it's not the Department of Ag there that they work with, but they have been able to come up with a program where they can feed food waste to swine. The reason that we can't, it stems from very solid logic about disease control and whatnot. But under certain circumstances and with the right procedures in place, I think that we can maintain and manage that efficiently. So that is one hiccup that we run into. We also, like I said, educate on composting. The vermicomposting presentations that I'm doing this year are pretty self-serving because it was a pretty tough year last year. So I wanted to do some really fun things with regard to food waste and the kiddos. Yeah, so if you have a material that you're trying to find a home for, food waste or otherwise, please give me a call. I'm happy to help and try to place waste items too good to waste, like Sue said, or even to identify those items through on-site assessment at your location. Please give me a call. I'm really excited to be part of this network because I find that I'm much more efficient at my job if I surround myself with really smart people, and you all sound really smart, and some folks I can lean on to ask questions as we move forward. So that's all I have, unless anyone has questions. Oh,
Actually, I had
oh, what a cute baby.
I was going to jump in with a question. I know you mentioned coffee grounds, and I feel
Yes.
like Iowa, right? We went through like all the local breweries popping up, and there's more and more coffee roasters popping up too, that do their own. So I'm wondering, like, what opportunity exists in there, and even just like you working with you to connect with composting those even, or using them in another way, like how could we dig into that side of things?
Well, and I can tell you that was kind of the foundation of mine and Sue's discussion, is actually talking about what can we do with them. Now, local roasters and even those C-stores and hotels and other coffee houses package up, and even like Caribou Coffee, they package it up and have it available to folks coming in. But you know, we're seasonal on when we can do that outside composting. So they always have an overabundance of coffee grounds that they don't get rid of. So some of them don't do it in the wintertime just because they don't want to be stockpiling it. The C-store that I just work with is launching a pilot program to see if they package it up in individual packages, if customers will take them. Sue, we talked about some different things. I talked about candle making. I've seen, and even they're making like socks and mugs using coffee grounds. So I think the problem isn't solved.
Some information, Shelley, since we talked, is I'm under NDA and I can't say the name of the company. It's a very, very large company. For a pilot project using coffee grounds for health and beauty. So maybe you could probably figure out which one it is, but just so you know, like they look at it exfoliating, There's benefits on the beauty side, I guess. So I think that that is something that we could probably get rolling now that I know there's interest from a large company, right?
Yeah, so always open to options. You know, our traditional options are composting. If you need coffee grounds, just call me and I have access to tons and tons of them. So we're looking for solutions and working, working partnerships to try to find the solutions as well.
Love it. I love the idea of the beauty stuff too. That would be really neat.
Yeah, I'd definitely buy that.
Yes.
Another thing I have seen is my husband and I have a really small mushroom growing operation. So we're not ready for a large amount of that yet, but I might reach out to you at some point, Shelly, because I've seen people using coffee grounds to grow their mushrooms, and
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And there are definitely more and more gourmet mushroom operations popping up everywhere too.
And
So-
Mal, if you do get that big, that would be a great pilot project. And then other mushroom growers would, kind of glom onto it and say, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's another there's a guy in Waverly, Solstice Farms. He's already up and running, and he's got a ton. He might be ready for something like that too. I could connect you to him.
And I have worked
Yeah.
with a number of large egg producers, but not for the traditional products we think of when we think of Iowa. This has been like for strawberries and blueberries and those acid loving fruits. So,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thanks for all you do.
Okay. Sarah. Go ahead.
I have 3 co-presenters, so if they interrupt, I'm sorry. But I'm from Saragordo County Extension. Our vision and mission, we're kind of on the opposite side of the food waste spectrum. We're for educating people and things like that. So our mission is to advance land grant values by engaging all Iowans in solving today's problems and preparing for a thriving future. So food waste fits into that very well. And it also builds a strong Iowa for engaging all Iowans in research, education, and extension experiences to address the emerging and real life challenges. So one thing we have going on this summer, and hopefully our gardens get rain, so we get a lot of food. So we have food to give away, but we do have a gleaning coordinator all summer. Her name is Corinne Sills. She's been at farmers markets, different places like that. She also has a couple of farmers growing a row for her, especially sweet corn farmers, which we're hoping we get rain, so we have good sweet corn. And we also are doing, so if you have any food waste or things that are too good to throw away, but you can't sell, she is your gal. Just give me a holler and I can get you connected. We also, our master gardeners, have a plot on South Kentucky Ave, and it's a Growing Together grant through SNAP Ed dollars. And that grant is for a donation food plot. So we have lots of good veggies growing there. We've had to replant several times. We did get hit by the May 29th frost and our beans got killed. It was tragic, but I'm having fun documenting all of it and sending it out on email. So it's fun. And then coming this fall, we're going to have a nutrition educator. They focus on it's a partnership with campus and the counties, and they focus on educating low-income Iowans who have families or who are just starting in the world or later on in their years. And they focus on teaching them how to spend and eat smart. So local foods can tie into that very well. And we're excited to work with people in the community to make a stronger Iowa. And we have lots of resources, and we are really focused on recovering from COVID-19, and that is one place we see a large opportunity. So that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, let me know.
Did you say Corinne? Is that Mason City Farmers Market?
Yes, she should. She should have been there. Some. She told me she's been there. She knows all the producers because she kind of was there on the tail end in the fall. She did some of it, so she is at Mason City Farmers Market if you need her to glean some stuff for you. So.
Cool. That's great.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
This is Jan. Yeah, this is Jan calling in with a question there. What is the next step use of the food that is getting gleaned from farmers market? Where is it going? How's it getting redistributed?
We have different partners. Right now, we've been taking it to the homeless shelters, but last fall we didn't. I mean, we just started in like August, so there wasn't a ton that people wanted to give away at the end. Like it was at the very tail end of the season, and people were like, you know. So we set it up so this year. So right now we've taken it to the homeless shelter. Clear Lake Food Pantry will take some of it. That's the only partners I have right now. I need to reach out to the Mason City Food Bank, but I don't think our amounts are going to be much of a dent in the bucket for Mason City. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mike is not here. He's lucky duck. He's on vacation. But he's a pretty regular member here, so I wanted to make sure to at least kind of talk a little bit about what he's doing. Mike is working for representing the Clear Lake Ventura Food Bank. Is that the one, Sarah, that are you working with Mike?
Yes, yes, Mike and I, have a connection. And last year we were trying to get something started with the gleaning, but we really only had enough for the homeless shelters last year, the Northern Lights homeless shelters. So.
Sure. Yeah, so their food bank focuses on hunger-free Iowa. They provide free food. And he is doing farmers market gleaning at the Clear Lake Market. I don't know if he started yet for the year. He wasn't there last week. He's on vacation.
He's going to go in the end of July, Mallory, not to interrupt, but just so you know, you'll see him at the end of July because I talked to him.
Awesome. Yeah, so he's kind of doing that same thing, but for Clear Lake. He's doing a lot of really cool things. I don't want to talk for him too much, but Mike Yor is also a good name to know here in the food waste system. I just wanted to give a quick overview of what we're doing at Healthy Harvest in regards to food waste and or thinking about. So Healthy Harvest of North Iowa is a nonprofit that works to connect and educate in support of the local food system. We are really excited about this, working with the community-based classes with NIAC. We do some lifelong learning classes, but we're also now partnering with NIAC to create a community-based hands-on class for consumers to reduce food waste in their homes. It might be in the winter, so we're kind of trying to figure out exactly how that's going to work, but that's pretty exciting. It'll be open to all ages, whereas the lifelong learning is typically an older crowd. So we're like pretty excited to get food waste classes out into the community. We also are actively compiling no waste recipes on our database for consumers. Poking around, we are interested in finding a shared use kitchen space. We have a few producers in the area who would really like to create value-added products utilizing their B-grade fruits and vegetables to reduce food waste and solve storage problems. Such as some of the people who run the apple orchards and things like that. They definitely can move quite a bit of the B-grade apples and things like that in bulk, but they still just have a ton left. The expense of building your own kitchen is not feasible for a lot of small producers. So that's something we really want to look more into. Last year, we did an awareness campaign called the Whole Harvest Challenge, which was a recipe contest challenging people to send us their contests for how they reduce waste in their kitchen. So those are some of the things we've been doing with Healthy Harvest in regards to food waste, and more to come on that. So does anyone else have anything anything to add or anything else to share in regards to food waste before we move on to a more general conversation? Just catching up on the chat.
Sorry about that. I'm listening. Thanks for that presentation, Mallory, and everyone. So exciting to hear what's going on. Love that Sarah's going to Central Gardens too. Good plug, good plug. Right. Well, our next thing is actually breaking out into our project teams. But I mean, I guess I kind of want to hear from you guys too, because this is coalition. We're here together and want to know what you all want to talk about too. So, and I know a couple, like I said, a couple people had to drop off or weren't able to join us. So since we have a smaller group, we could also do a group discussion as far as what other updates that people are working on that you wanted to share, if you want input on any of that too. You know, how are we feeling today? Where do we want to go? Apparently we're
Marie,
in the
this
ice
is
cream truck.
Jan.
Yes.
I was wanting to touch base with this group on this discussion we've been having on the American Rescue Plan funds. I don't know when that might fit in on your agenda.
Yeah, sure. We can throw that out there too. So Jen, do you want to bring it up or you want me to kind of guide the ship on that? I'm open either way. I know you've kind of been doing some stirring around.
Right. I can't see how many people are on there, or I don't know who all is on there, but maybe you could start it off, and if I've got any additional information, I can jump back in.
Yeah, so kind of at its core, the American Rescue Plan Act, right? Did I do that right? Is the COVID funding that the different counties, county board of supervisors, or some of the larger cities around the state have gotten. And there's an effort to look at advocating for those funds to be used towards local food projects. Of course, it has to be framed in the way that it is in response to COVID-19 and resilient communities and you know, kind of building back better, as the slogan is, right? But I know we were kind of brainstorming around how to approach that, how to advocate for that, and who all, if anyone, was kind of looking at that. So I don't know, even from the food waste perspective too, I don't know if you ladies have looked at that or had any conversation. I know Healthy Harvest, we've talked about going to our county board of supervisors and advocating directly in that way, but would welcome conversation or support in that. If anyone has thoughts. And Jan, if that's accurate, if you wanted to add more.
Right. Well, yeah, I think the information is, on the one hand, just coming out, and county boards of supervisors and cities and so forth are sort of trying to figure out what the what are the guardrails on putting requests together. At the same time, we're hearing that you got to hurry up. You need a project that is like shovel ready because these funds are coming quickly. So it's a little hard to know if we should be super anxious. I've been talking to Maria a little bit about this. The Regional Food System Working Group, Ilse DeWald down in Johnson County, has been tracking this a little bit. And I've been talking to our supervisors in Hancock County. And I just talked to our auditor today. They put together a small committee in Hancock County, and I was asking her a little bit more about the timeline. And she was explaining that, yes, they have a committee, but they haven't even met yet. She's looking at the fact that they're just coming to the end of the fiscal year. And there's other projects going on in the courthouse. So she says, those things are really taking my attention right now. But in Hancock County, they have a wellness coalition, and I've started a conversation with them. I've started a little conversation with some folks in Wright County as well, just thinking that it looks like it's going to be kind of on the county level to sort of figure out where those fits are. As Marie said, you know, something related to being able to be responsive to COVID. It just seems like it's an opportune time to really get our foot in the door for some of these funds to go toward the healthy food, the local food, addressing priorities that in, you know, having a conversation with your coalition, it's already on the table. So I think it's valid to look at that. And I know the Hancock County Coalition will not be meeting until the second week of July, and our auditor suggested that that's not a problem. And she said she would just, in my situation in Hancock County, keep my name in mind as they got to the point that they were ready to entertain ideas, then she would contact me. So, you know, those are some of the steps it sounds like, Marie, you're starting to take. Given that Hancock, that Healthy Harvest covers like 9 counties, you know, that it's not so much a regional effort as it is a county by county, or in this case, figuring out, you know, which group to approach. There's also some discussions going on at the state, but that may have more to do with working through the Department of Agriculture. And then I think you also made reference to there will be some dollars coming through USDA with their Build Back Better. And that may surface through some additional funding of familiar programs like Special Crop Block Grant. I'm not sure, that's just how I'm interpreting a little bit that I've heard at this point. So it seems to me like there's more information to gather, but I think it's important to keep radars up and figure a process by which to track those pieces of information.
For sure. And I'm glad to hear the timeline that you heard from Hancock County, because I think that's really helpful. As far as, you're right, like every county is handling a little bit differently. And the ones I've talked to kind of have expressed that same feeling of uncertain of exactly how they're still waiting a little bit of clarity, but at the same point wanting to move forward with budgeting, right? And figuring that out because there's some significant funding. So I'm all for joining forces.
Can I add?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I add one more detail? It does sound like the funding is going to be, it has to be spent like December 31st of 2024. Now, exactly how they're going to play that out, we don't know, but it does suggest that there's a couple of years that we're working with in terms of taking funding and spreading it over a project or so.
That's good to know too, for that part. Yeah.
Gives us enough time to build a shared use kitchen.
Oh, hey. Oh, my heart. That is a project we're working on. Yeah, that's true. That would be a good shovel-ready project for that, though. Those funds. Just to explain that for those of you who don't know, so Healthy Harvest has been talking over the past, 6 months with Simply Nourished in Mason City, looking at, they have a space that they'd like to dedicate towards partnering and building a shared use kitchen. We did some research and customer interviewing and research in the area and figured out that there's definitely a demand for a shared like nutrition education space, so around cooking classes and farms doing different events as far as promoting how to use their products and meet the maker type spaces and stuff, as well as some limited shared use space for production. So whether that's somebody making cookies or cupcakes or something like that in a smaller scale that needs that certified kitchen space, that's kind of the vision behind what we would do with that. And it's definitely economic development, and it's definitely in response to COVID-19 and a growing demand for folks knowing where their food comes from and localizing that source. So that would be one shovel-ready project that we could definitely look at. Again, that would be in the Mason City, Cerro Gordo area, but could impact a larger area as well. I know I also saw some dollars come through as far as food waste projects, and it's just on my mind, obviously, with our presentations, but it was like community compost, but also food waste projects is how it framed. So I don't know, Shalene, if you've seen or worked on any of those dollars at all, proposal for that, I think it was to the USDA. But, yeah.
Well, I'm happy to continue being involved in discussions with folks and sharing what we're talking about in the other counties. They're just very much getting started. And in part, I'm interested in some of this sort of neighborhood scale projects that we've seen CAMYAR work on in kind of the Cedar Falls and the Waterloo area as one idea that I've been kicking around. But again, I've not been engaged as much at Marie as clearly you and the folks on your call have been in the broader conversation.
Yeah. And Jan, I will share, so I mentioned at the beginning, but this is, since it's mid-season and kind of, that Tuesday afternoon, I know people are kind of all over the board. So we have some great people on this call, but maybe not some of the folks that are used to thinking about funding of projects and grants and those types of things, right? We got some great Rising Star interns on here, which we're excited about. And we have, Molly and Mallory and Shailene and myself. And so I definitely think maybe following up and doing some more brainstorming and conversation with even like the extension directors and whatnot could be a good opportunity. So welcome to other comments, but yeah, Jan, maybe we can continue that conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to dominate on this issue, but I did want to throw it out there.
No, it's important, and we're recording this, so hopefully folks that are listening in and checking in on our notes and whatnot will see it as well and can reach out. I'm sure Debbie would have some thoughts too. So
yeah.
Yes, definitely. I am wondering, because I'm excited about some of the work you're doing. Kaylee and Belinda, would you want to share about what you are working on as far as your Rising Star project specifically? I know are you heading to Hampton Market today? Am I making this up?
Yeah, we can share. And we are heading to Hampton Market after this call. So we'll see you later tonight as well. I can talk about one that we're doing, and then Kaylee, if you want to jump on about the farmers market afterwards, does that work?
That sounds perfect.
Cool. So one of our projects that we're working on is in Mason City at Lincoln Intermediate, which is like a 5th and 6th grade school. I don't know how familiar you are with the area, but we're working to establish their greenhouse and hopefully integrate it into their school curriculum, which is really exciting. In terms of goals of the project, there's still some that are variable, but I think hopefully the idea is that produce that is grown inside the garden, or not inside the garden, inside of the greenhouse, can be distributed either to like supplement in some school lunches or to different programs that are there. So either like Pick a Better Snack or food pantries, things like that. So hopefully it will give the children like an experience in the greenhouse, but also be able to be impactful in some way, either in the school district or community. So we're also brainstorming ideas of places the food could go after it's grown. So if you have ideas, we welcome those as well. And yeah, that's pretty much the summary of that one.
Thank you.
So in Hampton, we have two projects, but the one we're going to work on today is the Hamptons Farmers Market is looking to market and brand the farmers market. So to do that, we're creating universal brand with a logo, some templates that's easy to use, and making a posting schedule and overall researching what they could do to be seen online and throughout the community. So we're hoping to target all people to come to the farmers market, but specifically young families to come to the farmers market, hopefully bring their kids and buy some local food. And we're also looking at what some of the barriers may be to going to the farmers market. But tonight we're going to go to the farmers market meeting and talk about some of our ideas we have so far.
Very cool.
Super cool. Thanks for sharing, ladies. I'm super excited, obviously, personally about the projects, but it's exciting to hear what's going on in the area too. Any other updates that people would like to share at this time? Try to think. Healthy Harvest probably has some, but Brain is in farmers market mode right now, so. Wow.
Just plugging away.
Keep plugging away, right? We have some great college students working with us as well, right?
I see Molly's on, but I imagine maybe she's driving. But I don't know if she has any updates on the community gardens.
Hi, I am on. Sorry, we were just
Not better.
finishing up packing. We've got Andrea and Jan here too. I guess
It's dueling.
for community garden updates, the main thing was we were going to try to meet quarterly outside of these quarterly coalition meetings, and then a lot of people just had something come up. So for now we are just going to meet like as a team in the breakout groups in these quarterly coalition meetings. So that's the only community garden update that I have.
I imagine all the community garden leaders are a little bit busy this time of year. So.
Right now, for sure. I know a new partner that's coming on the scene. Hope to jump on today, but I guess didn't work. But in the Clarion area, there is a community garden at one of the churches that's doing some really great stuff and some really great community programming. Exploring even doing community meals and just trying to be more inclusive in their community and how to really drive some of that conversation around togetherness and finding that through food, which is really neat. We'll have to make them present one of these times too. But as far as community gardens, I know they would. It was fun learning about what they're up to.
Did you say their name? Who they are?
Jan, help me out. What church is that? My brain is failing me.
It might be the Lutheran Church. Is that a chance?
Yeah. I know the recording.
I mean, they've got they have a pretty active food pantry there, and Audrey Watney is the young woman that I've just gotten to know, and I know you've emailed her just a little bit. I wonder if that is that group.
Yes, yep, that's the group I was talking about, but the exact church name is escaping me.
Yeah, no, Lutheran, that's as far as I can get you. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just trying to look it up. I do know they're in Clarion for sure, but First Lutheran Church in Clarion, just found it. Haha. So if anyone's interested in connecting with them, I'm sure they would welcome it as well. And I know we were talking about trying to even do like a food demonstration alongside one of, they do some like tours every so often of their gardens, community tours. So thinking of how we could partner and lift them up as well. Oops, I want to leave. Yes. All the good stuff happening. And I can say that farmers market season is in full swing. I feel like produce is starting to gather more and more, but strawberry season is upon us, so everyone's excited about that. So that's always a good one too. All right. Next. Well, we kind of made everyone already share already. Well, since it is a lovely summer, I'm going to say summer. I know it's not quite officially summer yet, but just a week away maybe. We can wrap up for today unless we want to dive into something else. But I do want to do a plug for our next quarterly meeting is our September meeting, September 21st at 3:30. We'll be on Zoom all year this year. And the highlight that month will be about farm to school programming. So it'll be a month before Iowa Local Food Day, which is a huge day for farm to school in the states, and hearing out about what our school districts are doing as far as local sourcing and their school gardens and greenhouses. So hopefully we'll have some great stuff to hear about the Lincoln Greenhouse Project and how that went this summer, and more details on that. So we'd welcome all of you to put that on your calendar if you haven't already. And in the meantime, we will, each of our chairs of our different priority project teams will kind of be reaching out on some of those specific topics too. So if you're on any of those committees, be sure to check out for that, or always share your ideas out with us as well. A lot of red noise behind me, I apologize.
If anyone isn't on a committee or a team on our and you want to join a team, you can see on our website healthyharvestni.com, and then there's a page for this coalition, and you can see our priority project. And if you're interested in joining one of those teams, there's contact information by each one. Or just reach
Perfect
out.
plug. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. All right. Well, huge thank you to our food-based team for doing the presentation for today, and for all of you for joining us today and all your hard work in local foods in North Iowa. And look forward to connecting again soon.
Thank you so much. It was great meeting everyone that I hadn't met before.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Bye, Shelley.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Enjoy some
Marie.
ice
Bye-bye.
cream. Enjoy some ice cream, Marie. I can hear
Yes.
the truck.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we have the cookie dough truck here too, so it's all sorts of goodies.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.